What's eating you? Psychology Eats is here to help you. What's eating you? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Psychology Eats. So, what's eating you? Well, today, as you can see from the thumbnail, I am doing a story time. Ew. Time. Time. Okay. So I'm doing a story time and I have my friend with me. This is me. I'm working on this doll head, which is me. I'm working on her. So I decided to sit her here while I tell this story time. Well, this all started, I believe I was 17. I could have been 16, but I know I was driving. So I probably was 17. So anyway, I was working at a local steakhouse in New Jersey, where I'm from. And I was working at the steakhouse. I was a server at the steakhouse. I also used to work in the front where like the people would walk up. This was called the Rustler. The Rustler. The Wrestler? The Rustler Steakhouse. Something like that. So anyway, the people would come into the restaurant, and my job would be like they would come up and they were like, "I want a T-bone and a baked potato and the salad bar," and then I would say in the microphone, "One T-bone with a baked potato," and so then the guys in the kitchen would hear me call out the order, and I was good at it because I wanted to be on the microphone. I handled the microphone and I handled the salad bar, which was right behind my podium. So when I wasn't busy, I made sure that the salad bar was in check. Okay. So at one point, we had a really old, mean, corny manager, and we always had to do like, we had to be on our P's and Q's. Like, he would yell at us and stuff, like, real crazy. And then he got transferred, and then we got a young manager. Now, all of us were young, 17, 15, 16, the staff. So then they gave us, we got a young manager, African American, and he was about our age. So he was, he wanted to cut up like we did. So after the restaurant would close, he would let us hang out in the restaurant, and he would let his friends come in and hang out in the restaurant. And so that's what we did. I started like having friendships and stuff with these people at the restaurant. Well, he started letting this guy come to the restaurant that looked like, I'm going to call him a pimp. So if I was 17, he was probably 21. But he had all the elements of drug dealer, pimp, money, young. But he liked to hang out at the restaurant after we closed. He would hang out. Now, I really wasn't vibing with him like that, but he would speak to me and hi, how you doing? He would come in with his girlfriends. I'm telling you, he was a young pimp. And so they were friendly. So anyway, the night in question. Hmm. So at that time, I was driving a Monte Carlo. I had my parents gave me like it was their car. They gave me their old Monte Carlo, and so sometimes the Monte Carlo would start. You know, it can get you somewhere, but that wasn't any guarantee that it was going to get you home. And I lived a town over from the restaurant. So, okay, the restaurant has, let's say the restaurant wasn't going to close at 10:30, but I was off at 10 o'clock. So I go to the car. Eek, eek, eek. Oh, damn. My car won't start. Okay. Now it's about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. You know, I work maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes from the restaurant. I knew my parents were asleep. I knew I could have called them and said, come pick me up. So, anyway, what happened was I went back into the restaurant and I must have been looking sad. Like, so the pimp was like, what's wrong? I said, oh, my car won't start. And so the pimp was like, no problem. I'll give you a ride. You live such and such, right? And I was like, yeah. I was like, that's all right. I called my dad. Now, everything in me, my intuition, my spirit guide, everything was saying, don't get in his car. Don't accept his ride. Girl, call your daddy. And so I thought about it. I was like, okay, all right, I'll let you give me a ride home. He had a female with him, so I figured his girlfriend is with us. It's cool. So I get in the car, and now I really feel uneasy. Because he definitely had a pimp car. He had like a caddy. He had a Cadillac. And now I'm like, oh God. Now imagine this. Now I'm in the back seat. These two is in the front seat. He leaning with a gangster lean in the car. Like he just in it. Like he leaning. And so now I know for sure he's a drug dealer. He's a pimp. He's a whole mess. So he says, now I'm in the car. I'm secure. I'm in the car. He says, well, I got to make a stop first before I take you home. You cool with that? Now I'm trying to be like cool. I'm like, yeah, it's cool. Yeah. Now where the restaurant was, there was a Sears not far from the restaurant. Now I'm only telling the story because the statute of limitations is over. I cannot be arrested for this. Well, first of all, I was a victim. We get to the back of the store. Now it's closed time and nobody at the store. We go to the back of the store. The door to the back door of the store is open. And I see multiple people coming out of the door and taking stuff out of the dumpster. Whew. I was like, I'm in the back seat trying to act like I don't see nothing. I don't see nothing. So, after they robbed the Sears, oh God, I was shaking in my boots. I'm trying to look out the window. I'm looking up. I'm looking down. While they're robbing the Sears, his girlfriend turns around to me like we watching a movie, and she like, yeah, how you doing? Huh? Yeah. I'm like, girl. In my head, I'm like, girl, they're committing a whole robbery over there. You don't see that? Okay. Now I don't know at what point this happened. I know he got okay after the robbery was over. which seemed like it lasts forever. At one point in my head, I was like, would y'all hurry up? Okay. After the robbery was over, the pimp gets back in the car, and now I'm, girl, I was shaking. He gets back in the car, slowly turns around to me, honey. He turns around to me, honey. He faces me, honey. We are eye to eye. And he leans into me and he was like, you better not tell nobody what you saw. Girl, I was like, okay. When I tell you, this might be the first time I've ever told this story. And people who know me, don't y'all leave nothing in the comment section. But y'all gonna be like, you're lying. That never happened. I never told anybody. When I tell you that man froze me in time, when he told me that I best to not tell nobody, I never told a soul. But then the night got even worse. Okay. Well, all right. So now we have left the robbery. Now remember, I still got another 20 minutes to get home. And the car is full of stolen VCRs. Oh my God. The car is full of stolen VCRs. As a matter of fact, he had the nerve to ask me if I wanted one, but the car is full of stolen VCRs, and we have a 20-minute ride to get me home. But before we leave the parking lot, or I think we drove to another parking lot, I'm not sure, but then these two decided that they couldn't go any further without snorting a line of cocaine. I'm done. This is the first time I ever heard this comment. The girl, he was like, you want some cocaine? And at this point, I had never in my life known anybody who snorted cocaine. I didn't even know what it looked like. I didn't know nothing about no cocaine. Nothing. The girl proceeds to snort a line of cocaine. He snorts a line of cocaine. She turns to me. It's like, you sure you don't want none of this? And I was like, no, 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 thank you. She was like, girl, I am a cocaine head. No, she said, I'm a coke head. That was the first time I had ever heard that term, cokehead. And honey, now we got to drive 30 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it was. And you high as Cooter Brown, just committed a robbery. I know you got a gun on you. You got to have a gun somewhere. And now you driving me home. Okay, finally, now I'm in the car and all I can do is pray. All I can do is pray that I make it home and pray that I never see these people again. Oh, God. So we make it to my house, and I'm so nervous. I'm just a mess. By the time I get home, because, after the robbery, and then they had to do the line of coke, I didn't get home until later than I should have, arrived at home. So when I got home, I think my dad was still like, was like, what happened to you? Why are you so late? And I, explained my car broke down. My friend brought me home. I don't know how my dad didn't see how nervous I was. Maybe I got myself together. But I never had to explain like where I was, why I was so late, any of that. All I know is I continued to work at that restaurant. And let me tell you something. I never told anybody at the restaurant. I never told anybody about that robbery. None of it. None of it. That's how scared he made me. Because it was the way he looked at me. He looked me right in my eyes. He said, "You better not tell nobody what we did." Girl, that was all it took. And I never did until this moment 40 years later. Now, I don't know where that man is. The way his lifestyle was going at the time, he either a pastor or he a lifer in prison or he is dead. The way his life was going. It was going three ways. Pastor, life in prison, or dead. And the girl, I never saw, you know what? I never saw them again. I never saw them again. They never, like, he never came back to the restaurant ever after that situation. So I don't know. Maybe they end up getting caught. I don't know. All I know is the statute of limitations is over. Sears is bankrupt. And don't nobody use no VCRs no more. So nobody better try to come after me for nothing. I was innocent. Innocent. But that's it. That's all. That is a story time. I have another story time that I'm going to work on. This is when I ended up at a nudist colony by mistake. But I ain't getting naked. But I am going to tell that story. I'm going to tell that story because that was crazy too. But don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.